Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Tech Talk, a podcast where Amit and I talk about various technology-related topics. This week, we're going to talk about bots. Bots is a very diverse topic. It can cover so many things, including chat bots to various automation bots, as well as RPA robots. So anything somehow related to automation, because that's what bots usually do. They do repetitive stuffs very quickly and accurately. Anything related to that is within the remit of bots. So I feel like our audience would really help from all the different knowledge that we've gathered over the years from our work experiences, as well as all the information we want to talk about different industries and different types of bots there are. And this is really good to be aware of all the different things that are happening in the background, because a lot of the times when you're interacting with any website or even mobile apps or whatever, you might be actually talking to a bot. And it's good to know about it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it because a lot of businesses can leverage this technology to provide better customer service. But at the same time, as a consumer, on the other end, it's good for you to know when you're talking to a bot, and then you can interact, tailor your interaction based on that. Sometimes we do get impatient, thinking that I would rather speak to a human, and rather than being angry at the bot, which really has no say in your emotions, we wanna handle this kind of situation strategically and with a bit of awareness and knowledge that what are they capable of doing and what they can't do. So with all of these things in mind, we thought it'd be a good idea to talk about bots. Thank you, Amit, for coming up with it. Yeah, let's dive right in. What's your thought on bots, Amit?
So thanks, Renat. Yeah, I think bots is a very important and relevant topic in the current times. And the reason I selected this topic is as people who are following the tech industry might know that Elon Musk put an offer to Twitter to purchase Twitter. And one of the conditions that he put as part of the sale process was that Twitter needs to tell how many bots are there and how many spam accounts are there on Twitter. This will help Elon Musk estimate how much work is needed, etc. And the word bot came, and I was like, okay, so Elon Musk is talking about Twitter bots. So there are accounts that are run by robots or automated. It's not run by a human. It's The posts are all triggered by robots or automated code, and even the replies, the retweets, the comments, the likes, etc., are all driven by that. So I was curious and I was trying to understand why these bots have suddenly come into such an important picture. And then, as you mentioned, over a period of time, we have used bots in lots of different scenarios. But to frame that into one particular podcast, I thought, okay, let's do an episode on bots so that we can talk a bit more about it and the different types. Because I think a lot of people are familiar with chatbots, where you chat with an application, but and you know that it's a bot because they sometimes announce and tell that yeah, you're chatting with a robot. But many times, and there are many places where you are actually following someone on social media and it's actually run by a bot. It's not actually run by any person. So, as you rightly mentioned, it's important to be aware of these things, and there are ways and means to figure out how we can identify that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I was listening to another podcast where they were saying that if humans disappeared from the world tomorrow, there's going to be a lot of Instagram bots and Twitter bots talking to each other for the eternity or until the servers are up. So it is interesting how large portion of the user base of all of these social media platforms are actually bots that are talking to humans and talking to other bots. And then not just social media, there are other bots ingrained in all of these other different areas of technologies. And there are bots that are doing trading, buying and selling shares and stocks. And the regular retail investors, when they are making a decision, after a lot of analysis. On the other hand, bots are doing the same kind of analysis in a split second, and then making the same purchase or selling decision a lot quicker than humans. So these are some debatable, controversial areas where bots are being used. But yeah, it's interesting to think about so many areas where bots are actually, interacting side by side with humans, and it's good to know about all of these different areas. I mean, I think we were talking about this earlier, and you were mentioning all the different types of bots there are. So give us a little bit of idea on that.
So, well, there are good bots and bad bots, but let's first focus on bot, the word itself. The word actually is used to refer to internet robots, and the short form is a bot. So, anything that is over the internet communicating with people, normally we refer to it as a bot. And there are good bots that serve humanity, and there are bad bots that create problems, like a DDoS attack, where you are trying to attack a server with millions of requests, but they are all sent by a botnet server. So there are servers that are hijacked, and then they are made to send a lot of requests to bring down a website. So that's like a DDoS attack, a denial of services attack. And it's called distributed denial of services because the requests are coming from multiple locations. It's not coming from one server. It's coming from servers from multiple locations. Anyhow, so one of the things that we know about is chatbot. So chatbots are essentially you go to a website and you see a call to action button on the bottom left, bottom right, and you click on it, and you enter some details, and you get a automated response based on what you have entered. And the automated response will try to ask you certain questions, you respond to it, and based on the response you'll get some more questions. And these are basically programmed already, and this is the most simplest bot that most of us would have encountered, especially when we have to encounter with a support person. So like IVR is always automated, right? Which department you want to connect to. Say, suppose you want to go to a airline website. So the airline will say, do you want to make a booking or do you want to talk about the existing booking? So in case, in place of a human being asked all these questions and repeating that same information, they have recorded it. So that's like a kind of an automation. It's not a bot as such, but it's kind of what a bot looks like when you put it in a text format. So that's chatbot. The other kind of bots are social media bots, which are related to LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. A lot of times what happens is, especially people like us, I mean, who are content creators, we have a busy workflow. We record a podcast, we have to edit the video, then we have to publish the video, and we have to publish it on different channels. And suppose you're publishing 2 or 3 videos a week, then and on top of that, you're doing your regular work, or you are marketing and doing many other things. It's difficult to do all these activities by yourself. So you want to automate some of that workflow, and the way you do it is by using automation or using bots. So what you do is you create the video and you put all the description, and the bot will take care of publishing on all the different social media platforms. Like with a single click, you can publish on LinkedIn, you can publish on YouTube, you can publish on Twitter, etc., and even Facebook if you want. So there are a lot of websites which help you to do that. Of course, you have to pay for it because this is a very specialized and skilled service. But if you are at that level where you have a very busy workflow, then I think that really helps. So now what happens is, you might have seen sometimes that the same content is published at the same time at different social media platforms. And how is that possible? Of course, you can schedule it, but how do you schedule it on different platforms? You can schedule it on one platform. I can schedule a post on LinkedIn, and I can create a post physically, manually, and I can schedule it for some date in the future. Same with the Twitter, or same with, say, Facebook. But how do I schedule something for all the platforms, even say YouTube? And that's where these bots come, where they take care of all this and they try to publish it. Of course, there are then bots that try to follow. So instead of you going and following people physically or manually, the bots are programmed to follow people on social media platforms, and they can follow millions of people very quickly. And of course, all it takes is click on follow. If someone accepts, good. If someone doesn't accept, bad. But in this case, what happens is they can create a lot of followers very quickly because it's all automated. The other types of bots are, as I said, DDoS bots, where you have the denial of services, so you have attacks, etc. Then you have the web crawlers. So a lot of the search engines, they use crawlers, where the search engines click on a link on a website, and wherever that link takes them, they go to it and they index it. And from that website, they go to other website. This is how Google works. Google works on the principle that a lot of websites are connected to each other websites. So if a website is connected to a lot of websites, it means that it's quite important. So based on that, they have the ranking. But that's how bot work. They go to a website, they click on a link, they go to the other website, they click on some link there, they go to the other website, and they click on multiple links on the website itself to catalog the different pages on that website. So that's a crawler. It crawls from one website to another slowly and gradually, but it can crawl a millions of pages, billions of pages. That's how Google or Bing or any other search engine, they are aware of what you're searching for, because they have already gone to those websites, created an index, created hashtags, have metadata and everything ready, so that when you enter something, they can quickly go. There are other web scraping bots, where suppose you want information about prices on a website and you want to see the changes in prices. So you would go to a website and you would scrape the information. So scraping is basically going to the website, copying the information into an Excel sheet or into some kind of file, and then going through it over a period of time. And then you can see some analysis, you can predict. Then you mentioned about trading, so there are of course trading bots. Then we have UiPath, or robotic process automation. So a lot of times in the business process, we are doing repetitive work. So, like sending an email, sending a confirmation, scheduling an event, etc., replying to an email, replying to someone, etc. And these are all manual processes that become repetitive, because you have to reply to the same thing again and again. So in order to avoid that, what you can do is you can have a RPA, robotic process automation, where you have these robots that take care of these tasks, and you define how it has to be taken care of. You program it, and then whenever something happens, it'll do something. And that's your workflow. And there could be, so now there in RPA, because me and Rinat, we both work together in a RPA project, and that's how we met each other. You have attended and unattended robots. Attended is you have to actually be there, monitor it, etc. And correct me, Rinat, because you're the expert here. And unattended is you don't have to worry about it. You just click the button and it'll just take care of itself, and we don't have to worry about it. So yeah,
You
those
don't
are
even
the.
have a button. It's basically you
Okay.
schedule it or you program it to a trigger.
Yeah.
So unattended is you completely don't have to attend it at all. Whereas attended, you have to,
Okay.
run it yourself. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean these are, I mean there are many other bots. I mean there are bots where you have you can check your tickets. So you go to a travel agent, or you can go to an airline website and you can ask the update about your flight. Those are the different types of bots. There are other bots where you can what do you say? You can check your hotel reservations. There are WhatsApp bots now. So if you have a particular service, say again, let's take an airline. So instead of responding to you on their website, you just message them on WhatsApp, and then it asks you certain options to select, and based on the option, it'll give you some response. There were bots created during COVID. So like if you wanted information about COVID in your region, you could message WHO, and they would come up with like what you should do, things, etc., etc. So you don't have to go to the internet to search for something. The information comes to you based on what you select. So yeah, these are the various applications, and there are many more. But at a high level, these are some of the applications that people are already familiar with, and they would relate to it more.
Wow, this is quite comprehensive list of different kind of bots. To be honest, I mean, I was aware of all different types of it, but when you start
That's it. Yeah.
mentioning one after the other, then I realized, oh my God, there's so many different types of
There
bots
is
doing.
something for shopping as well. I mean, Shopify has its own bot, and there are, I mean, trading. I didn't know about trading, but you mentioned a very important thing that yes, there are bots that do automatic trading, and the trading has to be done in seconds, milliseconds, or sometimes even nanoseconds, because the trade can be done quickly. So they do the analysis and they just trigger the request on your behalf.
Yeah, I mean, anything that can be done with your computer with a set of rules, decision-based script, that is nowadays is kind of automated, and that piece of automation is very popularly called bots. So that's why there are so many different kinds of bots, because bots are nothing but scripts of various steps to take based on a decision tree, and that can be anywhere on the internet. Anything that has computing or electronics enabled, you can have a decision tree based workflow, and that's a bot essentially. So yeah, I mean, but no, it's quite eye opening that how many, how this is integrated within our modern technology. Anything you do, there is probably a bot working alongside with you or interacting with you or working in the background, whatever, to provide you the things that you're looking for. Out of all of that, I think, a lot of us have experienced chatbot, and that's probably the most infuriating one a lot of the times when you're trying to get some sort of customer support. And
It's the same with IVR as well, right? So you want to talk to a human being when you make a phone call, but all you're stuck is press this button for this department or this button. Oh, this is the balance, or this is what your status is. Oh, and then sometimes they never give you an option to talk to a human being, and sometimes it can get very frustrating.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that always amazed me about chatbots, I mean, when I think about chatbots, I think about there might be various types, but I think about these two main types. One is workflow based, that will take you through a process. Like they will ask you questions based
Yes.
on your answer. It will, present you different information, and then it will take you through a process, and then potentially you are filling out a form. On the other hand, there are other types of chatbots where you ask a question and it will find an answer based on your questions. It will give you an answer. I mean, both of them, one of them is workflow, one of them is not, but they're both providing information. In one of them, essentially you're filling out a form one by one, field by field. And the other one, you're basically searching the same website, maybe the FAQ page or wherever parts of
Yeah.
the website, and getting that information. Now, the point is, what really confuses me, or used to confuse me, now it amazes me, is that all of this information are available in the website, or they were
Yes.
available before the advent of chatbots. If you could have gone to FAQ or the documentation, or just scrolling through the pages of the website and gotten that information. And if you didn't want to look through all the literature, you could have just used the search function and then found that that information that you're looking for. And on the other hand, the workflow-based chatbots, you could basically you were going to fill out a form and fill out all the details that they're asking for and click submit. So why do we have chatbots when they were perfectly good and same efficient ways to do the same thing that you were going to do anyway? And this made me think about how humans are susceptible to the interface. Just because there is a back and forth, a chat
A transaction.
kind of outlet, that's more human-like to us, and that's more of a preferable way. Even though I feel like filling out the form is probably more efficient, because you just press tab, go to the next field, and press, and then click submit. But it feels more, I don't know, it feels more humane to do it through a question and answer kind of situation. And even the bots that are presenting you information, you might think that, oh, I don't have time to read through all the web page literature, but they had a search function, and what the chatbot is doing is exactly that. You're typing out the question, it's searching the website using the same search engine, and then bring out the first result. on the other hand, when you use the search button, you could probably see the top 10 results and choose which one is more appropriate to your question. But it still is more popular to go with chatbots because that gives the user a more of an interactive outlet for getting their information or submitting their information. And that's really interesting to me because that kind of shows how important the user interaction is, and how this advent of chatbots came about. And that's just my hypothesis. I'm sure there are more other research has gone on to answer this very question. But yeah, chatbots a lot of the times are quite frustrating because you can't find the answer you're looking for and you want to talk to a human, but they made it intentionally difficult because it saves them cost for the chatbot to be able to deal with it. But yeah, it's while it's frustrating, I used to be quite angry and frustrated before, but now I tell myself that, look, this even though this person is interacting with me, when I say person, I mean the bot, it might seem like a human, or I might, and as a habit, I might expect human-like responses from a bot, but they're not. They're literally just a decision tree. There is nothing else to it in the background. So there is no point being angry at a computer script. So as infuriating as it is, I would just tell our audience to sort of remember that and go through their design of conversation and then find the way to talk to a human if you absolutely need to. But then again, think about it this way: chatbots are designed so that you as a consumer shouldn't need human interaction to begin with. They should be able to give you all the answers you need. So try and utilize that part of the technology. It is there to help you. It may not all of them are well designed, but they are there to with the intention of helping you.
Definitely, and I think yeah, you've hit the nerve that chatbots are there to maybe make humans feel that yeah, they're being taken care of. Like there's someone to take care of them rather than them doing some things. It's like a master and slave thing. Like, okay, let me just call my helper and let me ask him or her, can you find this information? Rather than you finding it yourself, even though it's the same thing. But
Yeah,
still,
absolutely.
it's disguised in a way that you feel like, okay, you're being attended to by someone, so you are
Mhm.
important. You're not
Yes.
someone who is like not looked out for. And I think what has happened is most of the websites now at least have a chat bot. At least most of the websites, because the thing is, instead of interacting with the customer support agent, it's easier for companies, as you rightly mentioned, to save cost, because having human beings is expensive. Having code is cheap because you can copy the code and you can implement it multiple places. But with a human being, they can only focus on one thing at a time. They cannot focus on 10 different websites or 10 different web pages. So, or 10 different specialities. Like I can focus only on reservations. I cannot focus on cancellations or refunds. I'll have to focus only on that area. So yeah, and you have to train those people. So there is a cost. But with a robot, once you design the whole one thing, you don't have to train a bot. I mean, you have to train a bot once, and then they are trained, and then you can deploy it at multiple locations. Also, human beings are not available 24/7. They need to take rest. They need to go out and eat. They need to go to the toilet, etc., etc. With a bot, it's code, so you can leverage it, and they're very good at repetitive tasks. Human beings can make some errors, but bots are very good. That's why most of the assembly line is now automated, especially on the Tesla shop floor. You can see that maybe we'll share some videos in the description. Like the Tesla shop floor is mostly automated because those are repetitive tasks, and if you can automate that, you can deliver things much faster. Of course, in order to manage the bots, you still need a human being. So even though there are bots, so even though Rinat is an expert in RPA, there is still a need for Rinat to manage those bots. How do you create those bots? How do you schedule it? How do you manage it? How do you deploy it? And Rinat can tell a bit more, maybe. Rinat, yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely, but yeah, I mean, this is a quite a serious or important question that I get asked very often. Working in robotics, um, is that are bots taking away our jobs? And I think we've attempted to answer it in our previous episodes as well. And this is a very common question. But this is at the base of it. This question doesn't really have much value, because if you think about it, there has been newer technologies which automated all of our processes for not just decades, for centuries. I mean, from industrial revolution, when assembly lines were created, there were a lot of automations, and then something that which is an example which is close to home, which is Excel. Before Excel, there were actual people who would do thousands and thousands of additions and calculations, simple mathematics using calculator. And then now there are Excel users. That didn't make anyone lose their jobs. That just made people upskill themselves, learn Excel, and then use it more efficiently and be more productive. Another example is lift operators, right? Nowadays, you go on a lift, you very rarely, or you almost never see a lift operator who would operate the lift for you. But before, the technology was not so advanced, and you actually needed a trained professional who would operate the lift, going up and down, close the gates. None of those things were automated before. So lift operator job has diminished. But then there were newer jobs where you designed automated lifts. So there are other people who upskilled themselves, who designed these automated lifts, and then there was regular maintenance that was required. There were maintenance people who were upskilled themselves and then gotten these new jobs. So yeah, the job description might change, but there will always be more and more jobs for humans to do. For example, as Amit, you were saying, in robotic process automation, I automate various robots. I oversee various developers who automate and release humans from doing those repetitive tasks. But never in all of my years of sort of deploying bots did I see that anyone lost their jobs, but they sort of moved on to doing something more interesting, and they had more job satisfaction because they were doing things that are ideal for humans to do, not just mindless doing repetitive tasks. And also humans are prone to errors. There's no denying it. And robots reduce your error rate as well as increase efficiency, can run 24/7. So there are many, many benefits of automating business processes, and that's what robotic process automation is all about, which is the field where I'm working at. So yeah, that's another set of bots altogether that lives in your computer, automates business processes in various industries. There's finance industry, legal industry, HR, anywhere there is business, and there are repetitive tasks. A few steps based on decision-based steps. You have the opportunity to automate it with RPA.
Yes.
That's one of the types of bots that Amit, you were talking about earlier as well. And that's in short RPA. We have another episode where we covered a little bit more in detail on RPA, one of our earlier episodes. So yeah, audience, do feel free to check that out as well.
Yeah, definitely. And this is the interesting thing. Like people don't lose jobs. Very important and very hard hitting. I mean, I'm a software tester by trade, and a lot of times people ask me, "Do you know automation, or what do you think? Do you have to learn automation, and will it get rid of all the testers?" No, it just augments your testing, right? So the things that you're doing repetitively, you just automate that part, and then you can focus on the real testing, which you cannot train a robot to do. Like think intuitively, think creatively, think outside the box, do some exploratory testing, and that is, I think, the things or skills which humans are needed for, rather than just checking the login functionality after every release. The logging functionality is still the same, it's not going to change, and I don't need to test it again and again for every release. So I can just automate that particular bit, and that's where automation helps. Of course, how you do the automation, that's again a very skilled work. So of course you need some training, you need some certifications, you need some practice, and then you can be qualified to do those automation. But if you do regular work, just managing people who do automation, well, that's also there, right? So you have people who are doing the automation, but then you need people to write those scripts, maintain those scripts, and then deploy those scripts, monitor it, and so many other things. And there are people to manage those people as well. So yeah, so in the end, you go and do something else. So the jobs that we currently do in 2022 may not be there in 2042, in 20 years time. There might be other jobs. So I may not be a software tester anymore at 2042. I might be something else, because the technology has so advanced. I don't need to do all that stuff. There are maybe AI models, etc., that can do the testing for me, so I can focus on other cognitive tasks which the bots or the AI can't do. And I think that's how the progress is made.
Yeah, I was just about to bring up this topic of AI as well, because as ever since we've been talking about bots, we've been talking about repetitive tasks, we talked about decision based, routine tasks, but then obviously artificial intelligence and machine learning is now another hot topic, and it is advancing quite rapidly as well. Although I'm sorry to say that a lot of the places where we hear this is AI integrated and stuff, they are at the at the end of the day, at the very back end, they are just very complex decision trees.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence is a little bit different, not a little bit different, it's completely different altogether in terms of how it makes a decision. It's a different algorithm altogether. There is no decision tree, there is training, and then based on that training, it learns and then makes decisions based on that. But then that's also quite a how do I put it, a different kind of decision making, which is quite in a way similar to human-like decision making. So in a lot of cognitive tasks are now also being considered being taken over by bots. But then there will always be the AI operator. So
The
the
AI operator, yeah, someone to maintain the code, someone to like
yeah,
make sure that it's not running maliciously or doing malicious things. So there's always that kind of role
and
that will
then
be there.
cybersecurity
Yeah.
and all of that. So, but yeah, going back to bots and AI, there are a lot of AI-based bots as well now doing, various of those creative decision making or cognitive decision making, and they're getting better day by day. And if you can sort of integrate AI decision making process in your repetitive or complex decision tree based processes, you could get a more of a natural outcome, which is actually quite sought after, which is really good. And if you can do that successfully, you would get a much sort of human-like output, which is quite desirable. But yeah, that's also there. The AI integration within bots are also there, and not only in chat. It is in chatbots to make you sound more humane, but it is also in other decision-making robots as well.
Yeah, I think the AI models that are now being developed are also to make these experiences more natural. And that's where most of the training is now being done. Like, how do you make those chats more human-like? How do you make those social media posts more human-like, etc., etc. And there are a lot of these AI papers that are coming out, and it's very fascinating. Maybe in one of the future episodes we'll talk about them as well, and we can learn more. For me, I think we covered a lot about chatbots, but for me, what I find interesting is the social media bots. So I was basically fascinated by Elon Musk comment on Twitter and how many fake accounts or how many accounts are run by bots. And I actually wanted to see if I can create a developer account and I can run it using bots. And yes, you can do that. You just register yourself as a developer, and they have certain guidelines. Like suppose you are going to control that Twitter profile using automation, then you have to declare it. And Twitter has a way to identify that this profile is actually automated. So when a human being goes to that profile, they know whether it's a real person with a blue tick, say a celebrity or someone, a normal person with a profile like mine or Renat's, or automated, that this profile is actually being controlled using automation and not being controlled by a human being. And when I say controlled by automation, that means that the posts and everything are being controlled by the automation bot or by the bot itself. So it means that it will post something, it will go and like based on certain algorithms, like, okay, search for this hashtag, go and like this follower, go and like this tweet if it has this text, and then start clicking follow, follow, follow. So you have a lot of followers, or you follow a lot of people, and then you send spam messages, etc. And in the result, some people who are naive, who are ignorant, they fall for these, and they accidentally follow these bots, and that's how you get a lot of followership. And someone is actually controlling that automated profile as well. So there is a human being behind that automated profile. But instead of one person controlling one profile, that one person can now control hundreds of profiles. So they can quickly build a lot of followership, and then slowly and gradually they can sell stuff because they have a lot of followers.
Or
And
they can even sell that profile,
they
each
can
of
sell
those
that profile,
profiles.
yeah, because influencers, what they want, sorry, not influencers, but advertisers, they want influencers who have a lot of subscribers, lot of followers, because then it means that they are able to advertise to those people, and that's what advertisers are looking for. So suppose me and Rinat, we are now doing this podcast, we are looking for followers. We don't have a huge followers, so we can't get that much, we are not that attractive to advertisers. But suppose suddenly we create a bot, and that bot spams everyone, and in that spamming process we get, say, 1000 followers. So suddenly we have 1000 followers, and we are attractive now to advertisers because your 1000 people are listening to you and hearing about what you're saying, and they can sell stuff through your platform or through your voice. And that's the most interesting bit that fascinates me. And I was thinking of, okay, how do I automate a profile, or how do I automate even my workflow?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, interesting to say the least, but it's also controversial,
It
ethically
is, it is,
controversial.
it
I
is,
think
it
the
is
right
ethic,
thing to
yeah,
do.
because
And
but I think what I liked about Twitter, because I went through their whole thing, they have a whole section of bots, like automated profiles, that they have clearly defined certain rules and guidelines. Like you have to declare that you are being controlled by a bot, you're not being controlled by a human being. So once you do that, it's clearly visible to all the people who are following you, and they know that this person is, or this profile is basically run by a bot and not by human being. And this is actually helpful to give weather updates, to give emergency
yeah.
responses, to update flight details, to give some kind of a regular updates, some kind of monitoring. So those are very good, where you can have a Twitter bot controlling that profile, rather than a human being updating every few seconds or every few minutes what the weather is like, is there an earthquake, is there a storm coming, etc., etc. So just look based on the weather, they can quickly, and if there is a emergency response needed, etc. So these bots can do it themselves. So
There,
yes, it is controversial, but it has its
no, there are
application.
certainly, absolutely,
Yeah.
there are good use of bots. But yeah, I mean, obviously, our followership that we have, they are fully organic. Whoever
Yes.
you guys are listening, and we don't plan to do any kind of spamming anywhere, anytime
Yes.
ever. Yeah, but speaking of these social media bots, I mean, there are obviously ways you can, controversial ways where you want to build your followership. But apart from that, there are other things you could automate. And I've actually had built an Instagram bot quite a few years ago, and that was quite interesting. I don't think it was in anything unethical, because I was like following randomly thousands of people or sending messages or anything. All I was doing is I was uploading content, and then they have a creator studio in the back end where you could schedule the content that you want to upload. So I had my next 100 contents, 100 posts that I wanted to upload ready. And I didn't want to upload all 100 posts in one day. I wanted to schedule it in one day, one post every day. So what I did is, rather than going through this scheduling process 100 times, I built a bot which basically did that loop for 100 times, and all my 100 posts were scheduled for the next 100 days. And that's it. It saved me a few hours. But also it saved me a lot of frustrating time. I mean, I wouldn't really want to do that same process 100 times to schedule 100 posts. So there's that benefit. So yeah, there are ways you could make your life easier, and also not be unethical and to be a bother to other people, spamming everyone. And yeah, I mean, a lot of the times I have to say that when I am in the receiving end of these bots who are spamming you or randomly following you, they are quite annoying. And I feel like, yeah, that if there was some sort of control where you could unsubscribe from things like that, that would have been better, but there isn't, unfortunately. And that's how they work. The same as junk mails as well. You get junk mails are sent to millions of email addresses, hoping that 0.5% would probably respond, and then you could get some sort of business out of it. And then there are spam emails where they try to scam you of your savings.
Yes.
And your money. They are all some sort of bots doing something. But yeah,
And it's all in, I mean, it's all basically trying to get your attention, because once they get your attention, they can try to sell you something and they can get your money. And in the end, it's the malicious bots are basically working with that intent. Either they are trying to destroy something or they are trying to get money out of you by scamming you. So yeah, it's unethical, but it happens, because with anything in life, you have good people, you have bad people. So with code, you have code that is made for good use and code that is made for harmful use. And we, as say the podcast hosts, we just want to educate you people that, guys, there are things that can be done maliciously and you may not be even aware of it, that there is actually no person behind it. It is actually a bot, but a very intelligent bot that you can't even think that, okay, there is no human being, and it can scam you of a lot of information, money, etc. So yeah, I think you have to be careful. But I mean, bots, in a way, they are very good. They are designed to remove all the repetitive tasks so that human beings can focus on other important tasks. Now, I mean, important could be anything, but in the sense that where more human attention is needed, which we haven't been able to figure out how to automate yet. The whole goal of AI is to create a replica of the human mind. The day we do that, the day AI actually thinks like a human being, then we have automated the human mind itself. So now we don't have to worry about creatively thinking about a solution. The AI will think solutions for us. What we have to do is then think about problems for AI to solve. That would require some creativity, but the solutions will be given by AI. And that's again a kind of leverage that we will be using the code for, because if human beings, we cannot comprehend a lot of information. But these AI models, these machine learning models, they can comprehend a lot of information. And for us, if we can leverage that, then I think that's where the technology augments humanity. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, we can always think that, okay, it's against us, it's going to replace us, but don't think like that. It's there to serve a purpose. It's there to serve us. We created it, and we want it to help us be better, so we can think about interesting problems to solve rather than trying to find mundane solutions.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, there are a lot of sides to it. There are good bots, there are bad bots, and then there are bots that are helping us and not taking our jobs away. So yeah, I mean, I suppose the purpose of choosing this topic for us, for you guys, is for you guys to be aware of all different kinds of things that are there, and sort of if you are aware of all the different things that are going in the background, then you can sort of understanding a topic takes away the fear of it, or the uncertainty away. So ultimately, it would help you conduct or interact the world of internet better. That's
Yes.
kind of the
I
hope.
mean, you are aware of all these bots. I mean, chat bots and spam bots and DDoS attacks and social media bots. There are other bots which are very least intrusive. Like suppose you get quickly an email whenever you make a purchase. That's being sent by a bot. It's automated, right? No human being is
Mhm.
sending you an email. It's an automated trigger. You get an email transaction. Okay, transaction completed, order processed. So you get emails. So those are also processed by bots, but those are not very harmful. So you get information, but no human being is sending it. So automation is good. So don't fear automation. I think embrace automation. Try to automate most of your life. The whole idea about this talk is to not make you be afraid of bots, but to embrace it. How do you automate your own life's workflow? I mean, we ourselves are trying to think about it, like how do we automate this podcast? How do we automate the scheduling of everything that we do? How do we automate maybe the editing of the videos? We have figured out how to transcribe our videos. So we use a software solution to transcribe. And I mean, it's all in the whole, I mean, the end goal is basically to make your lives easier, to free up your time so you can do other things. So, yeah. So thank you so much for listening,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, thank you very much, and do keep coming back every week. And if you guys have any suggestion on what topics you'd like us to talk about, do let us know through the communication channels that are all available below. Thanks again, and hope to see you guys next week.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Bye.